Okay, so these are some algebra questions for you. The first one I'm going to do, it's from 2001. It's paper 1. And it's the algebra question, it's the question 1. And you were given this as a test there a couple of days ago. And then I'm also going to do 2001 paper 1 question 2, which I asked you to do for homework, so you can just have a look through it. Okay, so the A part of the question, find the real numbers A and B such that, and you're given x squared plus 4x minus 6, x plus A all squared plus B. So it's going to be straightforward. It's going to be equating coefficients. Nothing is going to happen on the left hand side. You're going to square out the x plus A. Obviously it's not x squared plus A squared, so it's x squared plus 2ax plus A squared plus B. Just notice I'm going to put those in a bracket there because they're all the real numbers. So basically equating coefficients, so you know that 4 is going to equal to 2a, so that means a is equal to 2. Now that you know that, so minus 6, the other piece of information, minus 6 is equal to a squared plus b squared, sorry, a squared just plus b. You know a is 2, so minus 6, 4 plus b is equal to minus 10. Just out of interest, I suppose just worth showing you, you could actually complete the square on the left hand side. So if you want to have a go at that, I'll just show it to you anyway. So x squared plus 4x minus 6. X squared plus 4x. So you need a way to look at the end here to try and make it all together. You need to put something in here so that when you factorize it, it'll be of the form x plus that something all squared. The 4 tells you that the only answer that you could have in there would be a 2. Sorry, a 4. And that tells you that this here needs to be a 2. And that fits in with the x plus a all squared element. However, you still need to make sure that whatever goes in, whatever constants or way you break up the constants, that they're still equal to minus 6. So the easiest way to do that is to say, well, plus 4 minus 4 minus 6. Because the plus 4 and the minus 4 cancel each other out, and you're left with minus 6, which is what you're supposed to have. So minus 4 minus 6 is minus 10, and that sits comfortably with the plus b. And you'll notice that the two answers are still the same. Anyway, on to the part B. Let f of x equal to 2x cubed mx squared. N and n are constants. Okay, so you're given two factors. Straight away you can gather what the roots are going to be. When you sub those roots into the original equation, you know that those roots will have y values of 0. In other words, they make the equation equal to 0. And you're going to end up with two simultaneous equations, a set of simultaneous equations, and you'll solve them. As B parts go, very, very straightforward, and you know, a full 20 marks for it. So first factor, x minus 1 is equal to 0, so that means x is equal to 1. Let's deal with it. So you're going to sub in 1 into the original equation. Now I suppose strictly speaking you should say f of 1 is equal to of course that's equal to 0 then. Tidying it all out, cube the 1 multiplied by 2, etc, etc, etc. So m plus n is equal to minus 4, and that's going to be your first equation. The next factor that you were given was x plus 2. So the root is minus 2. Again, being very fussy, but it's you know, you don't even need to write this, so we'll just say this time 2 times minus 2 cubed so that's equal to 0. When you work that down and tidy it up a little bit, 2m minus n is equal to 7. Simultaneous equation, I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to write that out. Simultaneous equation, just the two equations that you're going to take, there and there, your values, and you can check this in your own work. M is equal to 1, n is equal to minus 5, and that's the end of the question. There are other ways to approach the question, but I think that's probably the one most people would have adopted. Okay, new page, onto the C part of the question. So x squared minus px plus q is a factor. Straight away you know, and it's something that you'll start to expect for a question 1C part. It's got usually it's some form of division or whatnot, so we're just going to jump in straight away and do that. So x cubed plus 3px squared qx Alright, so x squared into x cubed goes x, multiply it back down, so x cubed, and take your time with it, minus px squared x by q plus qx. The usual things, all of those signs are going to change, so that's a minus, that'll change to a plus, and this will change to a minus. Now, what people do here is they try and do everything, or they're trying to keep everything bunched. I think it's a really good idea, skip a line and have a look and just space out a question like this. So really what you're going to be left with, I'm just going to deal with this portion here, the x squareds. You'll end up with 3px squared plus px squared. But another look at that tells you that you can factorize out the x squareds. So in actual fact, that's 4px squared, and you can leave the bracket in or out. Now some people will choose to do that sort of work off over to the side. I've no problem with that, but I just think that remember, you can use as much space and lines to work things through as you can. Just be really structured about how you do it. Taking a look at the coefficients of x, something similar. So this time it's 3q minus q, so that's 2q. So I'm just going to bring that down here, 2qx. And I'm also going to drop down the plus r. And I'm going to start again. So now I'm saying x squared divided into all of this. So that has to be plus 4p. And that plus 4p now is going to multiply back down. So 4px squared. 4p by minus p is minus 4p squared x. Again, be careful with that, not x squared. And then 4p by q is 4pq. Draw the line, change the signs. They're going to cancel for me. Now, again, to finish this, I suppose the easiest thing to do is, we know that this ended up being a 0x squared. We know it's a factor, so we know that the remainder is 0. So in other words, another way of saying 0 is to say that it's 0x squared plus 0x plus 0. Now what that means is that all of that is related and all of this is related. So the stuff with x, the coefficients of x are related and the constants are related. What we can say is, dealing with the x's, we can say that 2q, and you can leave in the x's, we'll put it in and just show you, plus 4p p squared x is equal to 0x. Factorise out the x's or divide across by x. In other words, 2p plus 4p squared is equal to 0. The other thing then that we can say, looking at the constants, r minus 4pq, that's equal to 0. I'm just going to say r is equal to 4pq there as well, just to, I'm sure we'll use that in a second. So now that you've got the division done, now you can have a look and see, well, what am I actually asked to prove? Because you've got the division done, it looks to have come out nicely for us, etc., etc. Part 1 says, show that q is equal to minus 2p squared. So, sorry, I'm just going to make a little correction here. That's 2q plus 4p squared is equal to 0. So we're asked to solve for q, so if you have a look at there, 2q is equal to minus 4p squared. Divide both sides by 2. And there's part 1 done. Part 2. Show that r is equal to 8p cubed. So that's going to be over here on the right hand side. We have r isolated, so and we know that we want it in terms of p's. So in other words, it's the q here. So we're going to take from part 1 the q is equal to minus 2p squared, and we're going to sub it in here for q. So r is equal to 4p minus 2p squared and that's what you were asked to show there. So there's part 2, and we know we're correct on it. Last part of the question, part 3. You're asked, find the 3 roots of x in terms of p. Now, these kind of questions have, especially in recent years, have become quite common, and people get a little bit confused about them because they don't see the wood from the trees. Basically, all you're being asked to do is find the roots. Get x on its own. If that was a normal cubic, and I asked you to tell me the roots, you'd say x equals something, x equals something, x equals something. And that's all that you're being asked to do here. So, you have the 2 factors already. If you see, you're given one of them, x squared minus px plus q. That's one of the factors. So now that we have a factor, we can work towards getting a root. And the other factor is actually back, you'll see it just previously, up at the top of the division. It's x plus 4p. And there's your first root. What you're going to have to do at this is, it's a quadratic. You're going to have to use the minus b formula and solve it, because that's how you solve for roots. So a is 1, b is equal to minus p, and c is equal to q. So the roots are going to be p plus or minus everything is okay there, with the exception with the exception of that q in there. But we know that q from earlier on is equal to minus 2p squared. So we're going to sub that in. So x is equal to p plus or minus the square root of p squared you can start to see there that it's going to work out quite nicely, because underneath the square root you're going to have a perfect square. So you just need to break up the 2 roots. You're going to have, so just taking it back up here, so x is going to equal to p plus 3p, so it's 4p over 2, so it's 2p is the other one. And your final root, your third root, is p minus, so it's minus 2p over 2, so it's minus p. Make it clear for the examiner. There's one root, there's your other root, and there's your final root.